You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction complete. Intelligent System Analytic Computer is activated. All ISAC systems are confirmed online. Data scanned. Downloading files.
What's up, guys? You're listening to episode 103 of SITREP Radio, giving you the news and other happenings in the world of the Division. Update 1.8.1 is here. Woohoo! But first, my name is Mike, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Robert.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hello.
Hope you're both well, and our listeners have had a great week, and welcome to any new listeners of the show. Huge shout out before we start to Mab and Capitan Karg on Twitter. If you don't follow them, go follow them. And yeah, they managed to get together and meet up over the weekend. So that was like a long time coming.
Cool.
So, and we asked Mab to give Capitan some hugs from us. So thank you very much. Anyway, we got some news. Let's go.
State of the game.
So, update 1.8.1 is here finally. We haven't had a chance to jump in yet, but we will once the show is over. So let's get this done. Luke, what is coming in this new patch for people who don't know?
Strawberries.
Strawberries?
Strawberries for all.
Like the Oprah Winfrey of strawberries.
Yeah.
Given.
So you get strawberries. Rob gets strawberries. I've already had some strawberries. No.
Would you say we get a sprinkling of sugar on top of that?
There's
I
definitely.
want cream in my strawberries.
I would say there's more of a sprinkling of classifieds, to be honest. I think Jim has been working his magic and sprinkling those classifieds all over everybody's strawberries. No, in all seriousness, the global event Blackout and the global event. Oh, it's gone again. Is it Assault? No.
Onslaught.
I forgot that one last week as well. They've been added to the game. Dates on those to be announced. Yannick did say during today's State of the Game that Blackout would be at some point during April. So, there's only 2 weeks left of that. There are classifieds tied to each event, but they are from the current rotations that will be reshuffled. So there are no brand new classified sets to come.
But there are two sets of 3 new masks coming.
Correct. Which would be pretty
6
cool.
masks.
Yeah.
I did the math.
Yes.
We've also got 2 new legendary missions. So Grand Central Station and Anhurst's apartment have been turned into legendary missions.
That's 5 in total. I did the math.
Oh wait, I just want to shout out Bill from my Cabbages group. He's already done these today.
Nice.
So shout out Bill. Congrats, dude.
I reckon we'll get Grand Central Station done tonight. Amherst was
both of them done.
hard as fuck in the PTS, but Grand Central Station we got to the boss fight, didn't we? So
yeah, we did.
Which it's lucky we got bored and turned it off because apparently you couldn't finish that in the PTS anyway. Rip.
Rip.
So yeah, legendary missions now have a 20% chance of giving classified gear as the end of mission reward. This is per run as well, not per week like the exotic caches. So, farm those legendaries to your heart's content. They've added in a classified gear cache at the Phoenix Credit Vendor for 2,500 of your finest bird books. So, cap out of 5,000, buy 2 caches and start all over again.
I've already bought one of those.
And you got?
Something I didn't need. I can't remember. I instantly deleted it.
It is any one piece from any of the classified gear sets, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Final Measure Holster, I think. Maybe, possibly.
Fair enough. What else did they do? Season Pass supply drops now give 100 div tech and a 10% chance of a classified reward. The 10% chance of classified reward also applies to survival caches as well. So as Hamish pointed out on the State of the Game stream, for all you good survival players out there that are getting 6 survival caches per run, that's 6 lots of 10% to get some more classified gear that you do or do not need. Again, I think those rewards are taken from the entire classified loot table, aren't they?
Yes. One thing that I'm really interested in is, 100 global event tokens per resistance boss killed? Something like that was announced on the... Well, it wasn't announced. They said about it on the State of the Game today, and I was like, wow, we can actually go run resistance during a global event, and you're going to be rewarded for it at the same time. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. The other thing about the global events that are not in my show notes, they've taken away the cheaper cache that didn't give you classifieds. That's gone completely from the game now. It has been replaced by I can't remember what they said it was called, but basically another classified cache that gives you a focused piece from any of the 3 classified sets that are on offer during that global event. So you will get one of the 6 pieces of Striker or Predator's Mark or whatever it is that you're looking for.
You can actually still go and, if you've got some credits, you can go and buy from the last event. I think it was the TAC Hunter's Faith. I can't remember the other. There's like four you can buy, and they're dedicated gear sets. And there's an extra one, which is. But what?
I was going to say that cache that Luke's actually saying about is a little bit more expensive than the standard caches that you buy, the superior ones.
Yeah.
But obviously they're giving you 100% drop rate.
So how much was the superior one again? Because it's been a while now. Was that 1,500?
Yeah.
Because there were people in chat on State of the Game arguing that it was either 2,500 or 3,000. Which, is a hefty jump if that's true.
I think they have upped it to, I think I saw 3,000 on the specified ones.
I'm
not sure. I can't remember.
Cool. And just a bit of news for something that wasn't actually implemented in this patch that, again, from the State of the Game, Yannick and Hamish confirmed will come to the game, but just not yet. It was the Ansel add-on. There is a DLL in the download that is literally just a placeholder until it is made active. And for anybody that's wondering what the hell Ansel is, it's an NVIDIA feature for your graphics card that will allow games that do support this feature to allow any user to capture in-game HDR shots or pictures, which can then be viewed and exported in 360 degrees, which is pretty sweet. I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Cal did some photos of this during the PTS because it was available in the PTS, and some of the pictures that were coming out were awesome. So, all you cosplayers out there and people doing division shots and that want something a little bit different when this does come to the game, time to go.
Yeah, because I booted up the game and it came up with Ansel and pressed Shift F2. I was like, what's this? I pressed it and nothing happened. So I was just like, I just left it.
Before we do move on, I just want to get some quick thoughts from you guys. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be catch up for a lot of people, including us. Obviously, we've just switched over from PlayStation 4 to PC. I know myself and Luke have a lot of classified pieces to catch up with, and I know Rob's got a lot anyway.
Got it all. Got it all.
You've got it all.
Apart from all some Nomad clubs that I desperately need.
For that cheesy set.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this update? Because obviously this is going to be not raining loot, but it's been an increase to the amount of classifieds that are dropping. Obviously, we're getting a lot more div tech. There's just a lot more higher rated gear in general. This is just kind of coming from something I saw breaking out on Twitter over the past couple of days, where people were basically saying, there's too much classifieds out there. There's too much div tech. At this day and age in the game, do you feel like that is true, or do you feel like it should have been reined back a little bit?
No, I think what they've done is great. I generally think you still have to work for it. Like, you still have to do the hardest content in the game to get said classifieds for it to be raining loot. They've just reduced the amount of time you need to play to get that loot. So back before this happened, it was probably 6 hours to get like one piece of classified if you were lucky. Now it's an hour.
It's quite interesting to hear you say that as well, Rob, because obviously you've just said you've got everything on PC. We know you've got everything, if not most things, on PlayStation 4. So, this affects me and Mike a lot more than it does you in terms of what we're going to get out of the game when we're playing it on PC. So, it's good that you're not sitting there going, no, they've given away too much loot or whatever, because that's, to be fair, probably what I would say if I was still maining PS4. But then again, it doesn't really affect me because it doesn't matter. I've got everything. So,
if you take into account the fact that they've now got 14 sets in the game, the chances of you getting the piece you want within that hour has risen dramatically. So you're going to have to grind 6 hours to maybe get a piece that you want.
Yeah. So a lot of the ways of getting a lot of the new ways of getting the classified gear are it's just literally a piece of classified gear from the 6 times 14 that are available.
Yeah.
Which is 80 odd pieces. It's literally only that new cache that we were talking about, the specified cache within the global events, isn't it? That's more focused. I mean, yeah, they've upped the drop rate slightly, but what did the DZ change from 5% to 6%? It's not exactly raining, is it? Let's be honest.
But then, like, even the cache that gives you a dedicated piece, I mean, how many times have we gone to the GE vendor and you've opened like maybe 3 GE caches back to back, and it's like, I've just got nothing from all 3 caches. I've just wasted the amount of time it's took me to farm that. Like, and we're pretty good with farming. All right, we might not be the best, but like, we know where to go to run the content. And then you'll have people that are like solo players that aren't able to, get through content maybe as quick as us or as quick as other people. And, they're not able to farm maybe 6 to 10,000 credits in an hour, or don't have the time to do that. It's giving them a viable option. And let's be honest, this late in the game, I'm kind of for just letting people that haven't had chance to try all the gear sets or even collect all the gear sets, like a chance to catch up before we move on to the Division 2.
100%.
I feel like this is kind of not farewell, but it's kind of like, trying to think, like giving it a good send off, like giving, getting the game in a good place, and then kind of giving it a good send off, and getting everybody on kind of the same level before we all move on, and everyone's played it, and you can, I suppose, kind of have good lasting memories from it.
I think on paper it looks like the classifieds are going to be raining, but in reality I don't think it's going to be that. Is DivTech, in other words, it is going to be raining if you farm in the right things, but I generally don't think it's going to make it easier to collect.
Have I missed something then? What makes you say that DivTech's going to be raining? Other than the DZ, obviously, because that was pretty good for getting DivTech. Literally, the only thing I've just read out was
if you do your daily things right on the map, your daily activities like dismantle so many things, you get 25 DivTech.
Right.
Your season pass gives you 100. If you've got 4 characters, that's 400 every 15 days. I don't know. It just seems like they've given out DivTech like it's going out of fashion for me.
I think what we're going to see from that is just more optimized builds at the end of the day, aren't we?
Yeah. My striker build's now 291 or 391. Is it 391?
No,
291.
But I think it kind of goes back to what Luke was saying at the beginning. Like, Rob's got everything. To anyone that does have, all the gear sets, and you're playing with a group of people, you can now pass that on to them. People are still searching for certain exotics. Like, you're going to be looking for a God Roll House or Alejandro, or you're going to be trying to perfect. That's the other thing as well. Yeah, you might get classifieds, but they might not be the ones that you want. You can only change 2 options on a classified piece. So, if you get an absolute worst case scenario on a set of gloves that you want for a striker build, then you need another piece. But I just don't understand this mentality, especially when we're kind of hoping within a year that we're going to be playing a new game. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I can understand some people's frustrations because, like I say, if we were still literally maining PS4, the only good thing to come out of this update would be the 2 new legendary missions and the fact that now that they've made survival slightly better to play in terms of rewards, there might be more people playing PvP survival. That's literally it for people that have got everything. So I can see why people are frustrated, but
that's my argument though. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have technically we have everything. So to you as a player, you know, to some people they might be like, what's the point in coming back and playing it if I have everything? You know, you've got new legendary missions. It's going to be easier to optimize your builds. And the other thing as well, if you've got more people with better builds, you're going to find more people in PvP content, in the Dark Zone, in Skirmish. You have probably better builds in Resistance. You know, it's pushing people kind of that way if they're going to be better optimized than that. If you have everything, you can't really complain. It doesn't matter how you earned it. People still had to earn it one way or another.
I guarantee you that everyone, well, some people would have optimized every gear set they have, but I guarantee you none of us have done that.
No.
So that's a goal to hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to be fair, you're going to need, for some of the commendations, like some of the super top tier commendations, you're going to need multiple God rolled, fully optimized 295 gear score builds, aren't you? So
yeah,
you know, there's that to go for. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing much to get players to come back that have already left. But for those that are still around, and there are many of them, let's not beat around the bush. There are many people playing this game still that haven't got all the gear sets, haven't done all the commendations, perhaps haven't completed all the legendary missions. I don't know. You know, this is just going. What was it? Update 1.4 made things a bit easier for everybody, didn't it? And then it's got slightly easier every update from there. This is just the next progression of that, I think.
I think the other thing as well is, like, you might see this as cheesy, but at the end of the day, like, no one can say that they've never been given another piece of, like, gear or classified or an exotic weapon by another person. That is more cheesier. That's more like a cheating way of doing, like, earning your gear. You can't say you earn all your gear if you've been given it, you know, at the end of a mission. Or, like, you know, we've all seen it. And, you know, I don't have a problem with it if, like, people want to post or do events for classified gears and give them away. That's really cool. But you can't turn around and complain that an official update is then the wrong direction. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be added as well to all of that talk about whether people are complaining or happy about it. This is free.
Yeah.
Update 1.8.2 will be free. So, you know, you can't really complain about free shit.
Especially on the lead up to a game that they're probably trying to pull as many resources into as possible at the minute. But don't worry, guys, we'll keep you covered.
What was it?
For a couple more
patches.
What
was it you said last week or the week before? Division 2 has got the most Ubisoft studios working on it of any game they've ever made. There you go. And you're still getting free shit in this game.
And on that note, I'm going to pass you over to Stats with Ron.
Oh, yay. It's not my name, by the way.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yannick came up with a load more stats today, which is always a great pleasure when I watch the state of the game because it means I have to reiterate what he said.
I just want to say, by the tone of your voice, that I believe you.
So these stats are taken from March Madness Global Events, which is from March the 1st to April the 4th. All these numbers have been rounded. So, because, yeah. Well, you'll see, because it's just...
They haven't been squared.
The fact that you'd get whole numbers when you're talking billions is just ridiculous. So the total GE credits earned over the last month is 29 billion. Billion.
Cha-ching.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Holy shit. That's a lot.
I reiterate, guys, that's a lot.
That's like billions.
My God.
The total superior caches opened was 21 million. Also a lot. Stop it, Mike. Breakout of the superior caches opened in Outbreak was 4.1 million. I can't remember what the gear sets were for each of these, so you might have to remind me.
Was that the Deadeye one?
Yeah. I don't know. Ambush was 4.3 million. Strike, which is 6.1 million, and Assault, 6.4 million. The thing is, right, two of them were after 1.8, right? And 1.8 brought a lot of people back into the game, so that probably explains why they've got an extra 2 million.
No. These are just the numbers from March 1st, aren't they?
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
But two of those were after/over the Easter holidays.
Yeah, true.
Silly Ron.
And I expect the gear sets from those two are better than the other two. Lexington completions over the month was 13 million. Guys,
that's a lot.
Just stop doing it. Play the other missions. It's more fun. Hudson's the way to go.
Can I add in a stat there? Because Yannick also said that Lexington, over the entire life of the game, has been completed 137 million times. Which means that during the March Madness global event month, it was done 10% of the entire time of the game.
That's insane.
10% of the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. People are nuts. Freaking
Paul Ray Barrett.
Yeah. I mean, she's died 137 million times.
Poor girl.
Yeah. As people try and get those masks, isn't it?
Legendary mission completion. Warrengate was done. Was this just in the last month?
No, this was the lifetime of the game as well.
All right, okay. So 4,100,000 for Warrengate. Napalm was 4,500,000, and Times Square is 8,300,000.
So which one of the three is the easiest then?
Warrengate, obviously. I'd say Napalm's the hardest in my eyes, but that's been done more than Warrengate.
Are you saying they need to up the difficulty on Times Square Loop?
Yeah.
No. That's an easy win.
Was an easy win.
Was. Yeah. And that's it with Stats from Rob.
Yay!
He's calling himself Ron now.
You deserve a round of applause.
Mike called me, was it Rube the other day? There's a new one.
Yeah. That was funny.
Rube, there's a dude over there.
It's like a cross between Dude and Rob, I guess. Rude. Oh, no, it was rude. Wasn't it?
Slightly out of context, I guess, but there we go. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out this article, but over on the actual official Ubisoft news on their website, they put up an article looking back at the last 2 years of the Division and the live operations that they've supported for the last 2 years as well. Did you guys have a chance to check this out?
No.
For anybody that hasn't had a chance, go check it out. It was basically discussing kind of like all the issues that they had from day one up to now, obviously with 1.8 releasing last November, December, and just kind of over the life cycle of the game and what they've learned from it. Obviously, one of the big changes was update 1.4. That was one of the biggest changes, and they actually explained, it was quite difficult during production to kind of stop development to then go back and fix huge problems with the game, with the loot and the NPC damage versus the players and things like that. How do you feel the last 2 years of live operations has gone, you guys?
Terribly. I don't know. They noticed the game was fucked. They fixed it.
That's a very British way of saying it, Rob. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Luke?
I don't really know where to improve on from what Rob said, to be honest. No, I mean, we've said it before and we'll say it again. They deserve tremendous credit, don't they, for what they did for 1.4. I'm not aware of many games that would or have done that. It's basically the entire team of the game turning around and saying, okay, sorry, we fucked up. We'll fix it. Just bear with us. And they did fix it. I think the player numbers for when 1.4 dropped and 1.5 and 1.6 and so on and so forth just went up and up and up and up, didn't they? So,
yeah.
I think
it gives us kind of a lot of faith for the future, especially if it's the same team that is meant to be working on the Division 2. And then, obviously it's not been announced yet, but from our point of view, we would assume that we're going to have live operations after, or live support for a continued amount of time after the game is actually launched, and obviously it's going to be the same teams transferring over to the sequel, and all the mistakes and things like that, not even mistakes, but the experience that they've learned from that first game, or this first game, I guess. Hopefully, not progressing and transferring over, and make a better sequel.
Seeing how the Division has developed from vanilla all the way up until, I'll have to rephrase this next week when we've actually played update 1.8.1, but, up to and including update 1.8, the game's absolutely unrecognizable. And I know obviously that is the general progression of how a game's lifespan is supposed to be, because it's getting more content rich as the life cycle continues. But, if they remember half of the lessons that they've learned during the Division 2 will be fucking epic. So that alone makes me excited for it. Ignoring the fact that it's a brand new game of a genre that we all love. So
I think one thing to learn maybe is don't trust your community as much as you thought you think, or your player base, I guess. Because if you guys remember the amount of glitches and hacks we had on PC when the game first launched, because all the skills were player side, and when people were going into the files and adjusting all the numbers and that, and obviously they had to switch it over, didn't they? So all the player stats, or I can't remember quite how, there's a lot of server side stuff, like for skills and weapons, and maybe that is one of the reasons we have lag in the game, because players ourselves can't be trusted. So kind of our own fault in some respects. I'm not saying that's the be all end all of why we have those things, but it's definitely not going to help if you have to go all the way to a different server to be
stupid chance
popping this skill now. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Very quickly, a quick discussion that was sent over from Grilled Cheese over on our Discord and Twitter. Huge shout out to him. He sent an email to us about skill trees last week.
He did.
What do you guys think?
What about his email?
Yes.
I think it's a really good idea.
This is going to be the bit where I'm going to be like, Robert, over to you.
Should I read the email, or should I just explain it? I mean, he basically he names some stuff that aren't, like, it's just placeholder names. Like, he's got Roughneck, Gearhead, Sentinel, which would be your 3 gear set pieces, which you would collect. And each gear set piece would be like adding to your skill tree. So if you had 3 of a certain, say you had 3 of said roughneck, you would then be able to put skill points into the tree that was associated with that gear sets.
Yeah.
And his idea would be to split like Roughneck, Gearhead, and Sentinel are like basically Roughneck is your DPS characters, so like your Striker, your Predator, your Banshee. Gearhead was your Medic, your Engineer, basically a technical build. And then Sentinel is like ranged
sniper build.
Sniper, like Lone Wolf sort of sub-trees.
Now, this is one of the things, I think we discussed skill trees kind of before, and we were like, I don't know how we would implement a skill tree system, yet still have like the gear sets or a loot, basically be able to have the loot system at the same time. I think we discussed it maybe, I wasn't sure if it was last week or the week before. Now, this is a really cool idea that you have to, you've got your 3 different, I guess, agents, which would be the DPS, your skill guy, and then sniper, and then have like 3 different skill trees that go with that actually give you like applicable skills, like your first aid station, your pulse, maybe a drone if we ever see it in the game in the future. I'm not sure what you boys would want to see for a Deadeye style. Let's be honest, there's a lot of placeholders there, but it's probably going to be stripped back. This is going to be completely... I don't think we'll probably see these gear sets, names anyway, in the future.
I really like the idea, but I would do it slightly differently. I would have 4 gear sets instead of 3. Obviously, you'd have your DPS character, your DPS gear sets. Then you'd have your Gearhead, which is your engineer / medic gear set, and then you'd have a ranged gear set, like a ranged ability attack, ranged like skills, as well as like snipers and stuff like that. And then you'd have like a tanky sort of build, a tanky gear set with skills that would go along with that. And maybe instead of 6 pieces of gear set we'd have on each character, you could have 8. Because then you could then essentially have 2 of each if you wanted to have a massively balanced build. Or you could then do 4 of one, 4 of another, and do it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know the Division has always been a game where they're like, you can kind of do what you want with the builds. I know we've said it before, especially with like the current system for the Division with classifieds, where you have to literally run 6 pieces of a set to gain the full bonus. Can you see it being kind of a mix and match system for the Division 2, or do you think it's going to be a little bit reined in where we're going to have like dedicated?
If they don't have a massive build diversity, they're going to piss a lot of people off, because that's where a lot of the content comes from. Like YouTubers, look at this build, it's the best build you can build. And like a lot of the discussions involved in the Division are on builds and how to maximize your efficiency in certain builds. To take that back and strip it back would be silly in my eyes. I don't understand why you would want to simplify that.
No,
in my eyes, I would say make it more complicated, make it more harder to understand. And
fair enough.
Why though?
To add a skill gap.
Okay. Wasn't disagreeing you, just asking why, because a lot of people have. I think some of the criticisms going into 1.3 was that a lot of it was difficult to understand, wasn't it? And I know they reined some of it back from 1.3. Like some of the stats were like all over the board, weren't they? Pre 1.4. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but if they make builds more difficult to understand, I think there will be less of them.
Yeah, I think that might be the trade-off. That needs to be a thing. Yeah. I agree with that. maybe have more stats that play into each gear set, or not even gear set, but whatever the next visualization of this being, because the chances are we might not even have gear sets. It might be something completely different. You might just get a stat point that you implement into a skill tree, but you might have like a certain amount of stats on a skill tree, like per kind of like node, if you can imagine like a node system for
Mass Effect style.
Mass Effect style. For anyone that hasn't played, you basically get so many points that you can implement into different skills or abilities,
every
and
time
then
you leveled up.
Yeah, and that would be effectively which way your character went at the end of the day. You could be a DPS player, a tank.
So if there was another 1 to 30, you would get 30 skill points, when you would have to dictate where those points went during your leveling, and you'd be stuck at that.
Yes, unless you respec it, but maybe it'd cost like quite a bit to respec. So, for example, if you had 10,000 Phoenix credits, you'd have to respec, and it would cost you 10,000 Phoenix credits. I know that's not a lot, but something like that, or maybe 10,000 div tech, for instance, in this game to respec your whole build. It'd probably be something, like, is it perks and talents that I'd probably play into more for this game? Like adrenaline.
See, that's something I would just remove
stuff like
completely, because people abuse them a little bit, like they have been in the past. Like the talents have been abused, whereas when people don't know how to abuse them, so they just get wrecked in PvP situations.
Yeah, but again, going back onto your comment of making things more difficult, the talents and perks do synergize with the different builds, don't they? So if, like you said, if you get them wrong, you don't have to be far wrong for a build to be noticeably weaker than somebody else's that's got everything just set up in exactly the right way, do you? So,
but that's like using them as a skill gap is wrong, because when you're having to proc a med kit when you've got low health and you've got laggy servers, it becomes an issue. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Yeah,
but maybe is that not a problem with the actual style of the perk itself rather than the actual system? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see stuff like medkits and that be less prevalent in the Division 2 anyway. Yeah. But that's just personal preference. So
I agree with that.
Do we agree that we want a skill system to kind of make it less flexible for people to just change stuff on the fly? So yeah, you have to earn all this stuff, and obviously, Grilled Cheese's idea of you can spec into obviously each kind of skill tree depending on how many points you've got from each gear set, which is really cool. But would you like to have like a lock-in system? So, once you've got that, that's it. You can't change it so easily, because we've all done that, haven't we? We've gone back into the checkpoint and we've switched over between various pieces of gear to kind of match what the other players are doing. We've all done it, I'd like to see it a little bit more locked down and not as simple.
Yes, I agree with that, but then they would have to give us more than 4 characters.
So you're proposing that once I log into my character that is set up as a roughneck, to use Grilled Cheese's titles, I'm then set on being a roughneck until I change character rather than change build as such?
No, because his idea is to have, for example, 3 to 4 gear sets that you can spec to certain skills for those gear sets. We'll call them gear sets for imaginary purposes.
So you could have 3 pieces of roughneck and 3 pieces of gearhead, and have half DPS character skill points and half like medic skill points. It's a variation of what we already have now, basically.
But basically what you spec into skill wise, whatever you use those points for, that's it. It's locked off. You can't like respec it or anything like that. So once you've like applied, for example, I've got one piece of loot that I've picked up. I want to run it as a DPS character, but I want to have first aid. That's going to cost me 1 skill point. I'm going to apply it to the first aid, That's my skill point used. That piece is now locked. I can't change that. I can't. And then that gets you in a position where you have to loot for another piece to spec it into maybe more of like a skill-based build where you want to run seekers with that. I just think this situation where we're so easy to change skills and stats on the fly, and it would, like Rob said, it would force us to have more characters. There would be a reason for it. And let's be honest, it's one of the good things about Destiny because there's like a locked skill tree with certain stats and things like that. You know, we've played Skyrim, and I'm trying to I've played Dark Souls where you have to stack into stamina or health and obviously things like that, but all your skill points matter. But once you've done that, you can't change it. And those are RPGs. And if the Division is like an RPG looter shooter, let's maybe stop the versatility, because I think that's some of the problems that we're coming with versatility, with moving stuff around so much. It is so easy to move stuff around, isn't it? If you've got another piece that you can swap in there, that's fine, but because you farmed it. But the ability to just change skills and things like that on the fly is a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be willing to give that a try.
We could talk about this all night.
Yeah. Well, for Mass Effect is one of the best examples. Is that
wasn't me telling you to talk about it all night.
Oh, sorry. Okay. But it is one of the best examples of a skill tree that I have used through several games, and it's worked really well. But it's a proper skill tree, and I know we have that, but the ability to change it, like with the talents and the perks. You know.
The difference with Mass Effect is you pick MMO style what you want to be at the beginning.
That would be cool for this game, though, wouldn't it? And if you have 4 or 5 characters going into this game, it wouldn't matter.
I want to be an adept in the Division. Move shit with my mind.
All right, Neo, let's go. Anyway, thank you very much to Grilled Cheese. I apologize if we butchered that.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about that quite a lot until Division 2 comes out and we find out what they have and haven't done.
I really hope they
have implemented something similar, but I know it will be like...
Yeah, the thing is, whatever we discuss, it's going to be the Division's own version of it. Because, like, if you look at the people who play the game, like Petter, for one instance, is like a D&D nerd. And I hope you're feeling better, Petter.
Better.
He's
better.
He's not dead.
He's not very well. No, he's not dead. But like, they all love these kind of.
I generally hope we can't guess what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I really hope that we can't guess.
I think the best example of something that we as a community have like discussed, and then they've gone, bang, completely different. Ninja Backpack. Nobody could have ever guessed that they would have turned that into something that would have unlocked more gear pieces straight away. You know. Anyway, that's our discussion for this week. If you have anything you want us to discuss or butcher, email us or tweet us at Twitter. Anyway, over to questions. So, Capitan Karg, an agent, aka Agent Joe as well, sent in a question, or
questions,
3
of them,
plural. What video games changed? What did video games change in your life, Robert?
The amount of money in my wallet.
You're now divorced.
That's it, pretty much.
That's it.
The amount of sleep I have.
That's a good one.
The amount of time I spend with my children.
Come on, dude. Family first. Right? Yeah, wait for him to go, my online family. Yeah. This coming from a soon-to-be married man. Anyway, Luke, what did video games change in your life?
The amount of direct sunlight I enjoy.
Yes.
Are you now on vitamin D tablets?
Yes. The amount of alcohol I drink as well. That changed quite substantially once I started playing the Division.
I missed that one.
Less or more?
A fuck ton more. I've always liked to drink, don't get me wrong, but Jesus Christ. Playing the Division in the Dark Zone, I've literally always had a beer in my hand. And, apparently now I'm a podcaster. That's something that video games changed.
Yeah, true.
What about you, Mike?
Didn't think we'd be doing this. Yeah. What did video games change in my life? I don't know, to be honest. But I love them. I can't explain why. Big part of my life.
How/why did you start playing video games, Mike?
How? Well, the first console I ever had was an N64, but I was supposed to get a PS1.
Good lad.
Yeah, that kind of ended weirdly. Why? I'm not quite sure. I think we'd always had like old gaming PCs or something in the house, but obviously it was kind of getting more mainstream and bigger at the time. Rob?
How? My dad bought an Amiga 500. Why? Because they're fun.
Fair enough. Luke?
How? Because a little bit like Rob, my dad bought a Commodore 64, which then progressed to an Amiga 1200, which then progressed to PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, GameCube, etc., etc.
PC.
Yeah. Several. Do you know what? I've never had a proper PC. I've always had gaming laptops. It's like back when I used to play Team Fortress Classic, that was on a gaming laptop. Now playing Division
lie,
Siege.
you're a Warcraft nerd.
I've never played Warcraft, dude. I would not know where to start. Same with D&D. I've never been into that sort of stuff, to be honest. The why, I'll be honest, I still am a massive football fan, so playing a lot of football games on like the Commodore 64 and the Amiga. So you got like Sensible Soccer, which was very, very pixelated version of FIFA back in the day. And then like your Football Manager or Championship Manager, as it used to be known way back when. And it's just progressed from there, to be honest.
Yeah, just going off that, because like, I don't know why, but I used to go over a friend. Well, obviously I know why, but like how I started playing video games. I used to go to a friend's house and we'd be playing NHL, and like literally from sports games, because you can't play NHL or basketball all the time in England. It's freaking rain. Well, you can't play NHL anyway, but basketball you can't exactly easily play it in the rain half the time over here. So it was like kind of cool insight into that.
NBA Jam on the SNES. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
As a younger kid, it was always like you say, you got your sports games, you got your wrestling games, your Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter type games that you always played with your best mate, didn't you? So it was always me versus whoever fighting to see who would win, and inevitably, one of you was always better than the other one. So you'd move on to a different
screen.
game. Yes, absolutely, split screen. Before headsets and everything became all the rage that you had to have your PS4.
Before the internet.
Yeah. You had to play with somebody in the same room as you, let alone the same county.
Yeah, multiplayer was actually actually being in the same room as somebody else and doing.
You had to smell them.
Split screen. But I think the biggest moment that I remember is probably just playing shit tons of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Nice.
I played that so much as well. Split screen.
Nice choice.
1, 2, and Underground. I think, and that was it as well. I was like skateboarding. So when I couldn't skateboard, I was playing video games to skateboard. So,
Tony Hawk's 2. Best game ever.
Final question. What do you like now in video games? I'm going to go to you, Luke.
Do you know what? I didn't play much of them before the Division, but I really do now like the whole looter shooter type of genre. I enjoyed Destiny 2 for a while. I'm not going to deny that. It got boring really quickly. I'm not going to deny that either, but I did enjoy it when we played it. The Division, I've lost fucking months of my life to the Division, and I'm likely to lose even more to Division 2. And then the social aspect of gaming, like we've just said, literally you had to be in the same room as the person you were playing with. Nowadays we can play with people
stealing my answer now.
From America, Australia, we've got Discord members that we play with regularly from Denmark, Germany, Spider and Abby are in the US, aren't they? Got, like I say, Discord members from Australia and wherever. So
we've got Foxy, we've got Sage, we've got Remy and Tink. So I know we don't always get a chance to group up with those guys, but we've played with Remy on Overwatch and had an awesome night. It is quite opening, like how easy it is to play games with people all over the world. You can't just go down the road and just talk to them, and you just have a laugh.
Yeah.
Rob's got friends all over the country from his Destiny raid team. I've got friends from my raid team in the States and in England, and it's a good way of, I guess, bonding with random people.
It's no longer becoming video games. It's you becoming part of a community. When you pick up a game, you're part of that community, and that's how that's what it's turning into. You're not investing in a game to play on. You're investing in a community to play with.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you realize that it's not just you out there playing this single video game. I know you see other people on that, but there's people, there's names and faces to those players in the game.
The smells from those people.
Yes, and smells. Rob, what do you like now in video games?
Well, I just answered that with my community comment.
Okay, you like the community. You like the community. That's your answer.
Yeah.
What about a specific choice of video game?
Well, at the moment,
well, just in general types.
I like first-person shooters. And RPGs, I'm easy, really.
That's what she said.
I don't really care as long as it's got a good story, or I can compete competitively in it. And it makes me feel good after I've killed someone or something.
Oh my god!
Somebody clip that.
That's not what I meant. In PvP, I like shooting games where the gunplay is just crisp and smooth and makes you feel good when you play.
Nice. Go on then, Mike, your turn.
I think it's kind of been a long road from GoldenEye and Zelda to games that we play now. Obviously, I love story-based games. I don't have as much time as I once did, or I don't give myself enough time to actually play story-based games as much. I'll go on about BioShock. That's the most recent one that I've played all the way through, 3 games back-to-back, story-based. And then I've loved first-person shooters since Rob freaking introduced me to Call of Duty 3. God knows how many years ago.
2.
Was it 2? Was it?
Mm-hmm.
And and then on to Battlefield. I like indie games. I like weird games. I'm kind of all over the place with my. I'll play anything as long as
it's not pornographic.
It's entertaining, I guess.
Oh no, wait, because you play that game on the Switch. What was it called? Slightly pornographic.
Bayonetta. It's a good game.
The crotch shots.
Crotch shots for days. But even having a Nintendo Switch, there's games on there I would probably have never played before, like Stardew Valley, which is literally kind of like a farming game in 2D, but it's really good. The Division, it's a looter and shooter. We've been playing RPG MMO style games for the last 6 years, Rob?
Yeah.
From Star Wars to Mass Effect to a brief time in ESO, obviously we've played Destiny, we've got The Division, you know. We had a minor dabble in Diablo.
I didn't. I've still yet to play that game. I played Diablo 2.
And then we're still playing, like, then we're kind of like in this weird bit where we're playing like these competitive shooters, but like team-based shooters made of completely different characters. So it's not just your straight up Call of Duty or Battlefield, it's, you know, Overwatch or Siege, you know, which is like, seems to be the new love of our life at the minute.
Best.
Everything and then anything, as long as it's entertaining, you know, and we have fun. If it's not fun, you don't play it at the end of the day. All right, thank you very much for your question. Robert, where can the listeners find us?
Hang on, Luke was about to say something.
I was just going to say,
sorry,
as long as Agent Joe's listening, I think what we might do is maybe steal these questions a little bit and adapt them slightly. You know, our icebreaker questions. So I think we've
implement them.
Based on the fact that when we put that poll out a little while ago, we asked if people wanted the same format or more guests or to change the podcast a little bit or whatever, didn't we? We've now got, I think, 4 guests confirmed. We just need to put them in the diary officially.
We need to get our asses in gear, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we need to get our ass in gear, but obviously these icebreaker questions need refreshing a little bit for...
Mike needs to get his ass in gear. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. My back's hurting.
So yeah, as long as we get Agent Joe's blessing, I think we might plagiarise those questions a little bit, because they were good. I quite enjoyed that discussion.
Yeah, we're going to reuse those for sure.
Thank you, Luke. Robert, can you tell listeners where they can find our backpack?
No.
My backpack, should I say?
No. I can tell them where they can find that podcast though. Which is,
please tell us.
At SITREP Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord. Send any questions or feedback over to us at our email address, which is sitrepRadiopod@gmail.com, or via the socials. Also, we post full episodes of our content every week on YouTube. So head over there, which is youtube.com/SITREPRadio. Please leave a comment and subscribe. That'd be great. Luke?
As always, you can find this podcast over at iTunes, Apple Podcasts for iOS, Podbean, Google Play Music, or Soundcloud. You can find links to all of these platforms and many more over at mashthosebuttons.com. And whilst you're there, please rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you!
Apologies, Luke just fell down a well. If you do head over to mashthosebuttons.com, please make sure to check out some of the other podcasts that are a part of the Mash Those Buttons family. We do live stream as much as we can. If you're interested in dropping by and chatting with us whilst we play The Division and probably Siege and some other games, you can find us over at twitch.tv/SITREP Radio and SITREP Rob if you want to check out Rob's streams. Thank you very much to The Division Elites on Facebook. If you're an Xbox player, check out the new Xbox One update that dropped today with 8.8.1. And also go over to Discord and check out the Division HQ on Twitter and go check out their Discord, which is dedicated for Xbox players. Okay. Thank you very much to them. Thank you very much to listening, agents. And we will catch you in next week's episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secure.